require rapid ongoing DNA synthesis even in a fasting state, cells of the immune system. The other key role of glutamine is it goes to the kidney, where it releases that nitrogen that it has as ammonia. Now that ammonia released there in the kidney is a good thing. Normally we say ammonia released into the blood is a bad thing because if it goes to the brain, that's a neurotoxic chemical. But in the urine, it acts as a base to help neutralize this high level of keto acids or ketone bodies that we have in starvation. So it provides a secondary buffer to the phosphate buffer of the urine and the bicarbonate buffer of the blood. The glucosalanine cycle, review that. This is the main way that tissues get waste nitrogen back to the liver. It's a very simple way of doing things because all cells can use glucose. Glucose is then converted to pyruvate by the glycolytic pathway, and then in a one-step transamination reaction, pyruvate is converted to alanine. Very simple, and then alanine is released into the blood. That's how tissues get rid of their alanine, or their nitrogen. So, kidney, as I just said, glutamine releases ammonia to buffer the keto acids. What you're left with is alpha-ketoglutarate after the ammonia is released, and this is energy rich. So the kidney oxidizes the alpha-ketoglutarate to carbon dioxide and water and gets a lot of, maybe 20% of its energy in a fasting state from doing that. All right, in the brain, remember the astrocytes are sometimes referred to as the metabolic helper cells to the neurons. So the astrocytes produce glutamine for a couple of reasons. It's one way of keeping the level of ammonia down. So if ammonia piles up in the brain, the astrocytes will combine ammonia with glutamine to form glutamine, keep the ammonia down. But glutamine is also a carrier of, you can think of glutamine as a carrier of glutamate between the astrocyte and the neurons. So neurons, as you know, use glutamate a lot as a neurotransmitter. They get this from the astrocytes. So the astrocytes make glutamine. The glutamine is transported to the neurons. The neurons take the glutamine back to glutamate, and then you've either got glutamate as a neurotransmitter or glutamate can be converted to GABA. A lot of the textbooks, I don't know if the exams are still doing this, or will tell you that glutamine is thought to be the cause of cerebral edema when people have a high level of ammonia built up, let's say because of liver damage. But yes, at first glutamine is a good thing because it mops up the excess ammonia in the cell. But at extremely high levels, so the thinking goes, glutamine becomes an osmolyte, makes the astrocytes hyperosmotic, and this is what causes edema. But this is probably not true, but you may be asked that, so use your conscience answering. And finally, we talked a little bit about the stress response. When people have an infection or they are recovering from surgery, they go into negative nitrogen balance, which is, whoops, okay? Good. Whew. We don't need casualties here. Negative nitrogen balance, which is a hard thing to prevent because of the hormonal status that you get here. Mainly it's due to cortisol, and cortisol levels rise, and this is what really causes muscle protein to break down. Now the reason why muscle protein breaks down during the stress response, the rationale for it is that the amino acids in muscle are being used by liver to produce what are called the acute phase proteins, and they're also being used by the immune cells. So really what you have is a shift of the amino acid pool from being in skeletal muscle, which is not of much use if you're laid up, into all the other things that are required to fight off an infection and deal with the wound. So we didn't go into much more detail about that because you're going to get that in other courses. But just be aware of this at a superficial level. And I think that is all. Are there any questions? Okay then, good luck to you.